Hi, everybody. Welcome to today's edition of the Gamut Network. I really love talking to the next generation of amazing people that are going to make a difference in the world that we live in. And I happen to have one of them on the show today. Her name is Emma. She is currently ending her senior year at Brown University. And she's going to share with us her story and the amazing platform and site that she started. So Emma, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. It's so nice to be on.
I'm so thrilled to have you. I love seeing you in person. I know that we've spoken before, but you're even more beautiful in person than you sounded over the phone. And I love so much, like I said in the beginning, it's one thing to be on a path of change, at my age and being in the industry for so long, but it is so exciting to see your generation be so socially conscious and to be so incredibly inclusive. So can you tell us a little bit about Emma, and then we'll kind of lead into what you've created.
Perfect. So I am 22. I'm a senior at Brown. I'm studying French and visual arts. I love painting. I've always loved sewing, and that's how I really got into everything. I have always loved fashion, and I used to play Project Runway with my friends when I was little, and so always been a huge love for fashion and thought that's what I was going to study at Brown and do some classes at RISD in apparel design. And so I have this amazing love for fashion, and I was always sewing, taking sewing lessons, making things for my dolls. And I have a really close family. I'm a twin, and she is also a Brown with me. And we have our mom and our dad, and we're a really, really close family. And about 10 years ago, when my mom was diagnosed with fibromyalgia, I watched this eccentric professor mother, who's a sex anthropologist actually, I watched her confidence, which was always blooming, just kind of plummet when she got this new disability in her life and her new functionality with her body. And I didn't really understand it at the time. And I didn't really understand the connection that her confidence level had with fashion. And as it turns out, when she was shopping online, she would try to find new clothing that would fit her new body and her limits in functionality. And she would find.
Can you share with us, how did it affect her body and her functionality?
Yeah, so her dexterity became really limited. She has a few autoimmune diseases that are not all diagnosed, but we know it's from there. And so her dexterity was severely limited, and then also her range of motion. So being able to put things on, and her strength of putting things on, like specifically things over the head, were really difficult. And and also just like general pain that comes with fibromyalgia, just the way that her old clothes that she could wear forever used to fit her, that sometimes seams would become really uncomfortable, or the placement of the way the pants fit around her waist or her bra or her shirts. So it just was like a wide variety of everything affecting her fashion. And
I'm curious about this, because I think this is something really interesting to highlight, is the fact that she had probably her own style, her own look prior to the fibromyalgia, that she felt probably the same person she was before she was diagnosed, and probably wanted to look the same, but now had barriers through clothing that she couldn't, properly present herself how she used to. And, as we've been learning, and certainly as I experienced firsthand, and why we started developing modifications for mainstream clothing, is because that does directly affect your self-esteem and your confidence. How you show up to the world, how you dress, how everything affects your self-esteem is often forgotten about, the importance of clothing. So I wanted to just underscore that, because many of the guests that we have on the show either were born with their disability or got it early on in their age. But for somebody like your mom, she lived a huge portion of her life feeling one way, and then suddenly it changes. And we have got to not forget how critically important that is emotionally to a human being.
Absolutely. And I think that another aspect of it was, so her friends and family couldn't understand because of an invisible disability. And so she wasn't using a mobility aid. And so she looked to everybody else to be the same woman that she was before her diagnosis, but her whole body was changing and she couldn't wear what she wanted to wear. And so you're absolutely right. It totally affected her confidence. And another part that affected her confidence was the shopping experience. So there was a few undergarments from some companies that were focused on elderly patients and folks with Alzheimer's, and just poor branding, and it wasn't the normal sexy Victoria's Secret-esque type of experience that she had been used to her whole life. And so that experience shopping was pretty dehumanizing. She felt like a patient when she wanted to feel like a beautiful, sexy woman in her early 40s. And that kind of stayed with me throughout my childhood and my teens. And when I got to Brown, I began to continue my fashion designing. But I met other women with the same disability as my mom and other disabilities like CP or spina bifida, and I began to ask them about their shopping experiences, and they said the same thing as my mom, that it was really hard to find clothing that made them feel confident, especially bras and underwear. And this was like 2016 when I first got to college, so right before Tommy Hilfiger and everybody launched. And so that was really eye-opening for me, and I realized that the problem was bigger than my mom, because to me, it was just my mom, and I didn't know the whole scale of it. So I just decided to familiarize myself with adaptive apparel and just began doing research. I interviewed like 200 women, and just through Instagram, talking to them with all different types of disabilities, backgrounds, and just trying to understand what it meant to shop as a disabled woman. And what I learned was that, especially in the undergarment realm, it was like undergarments and bras are such a key part of how you feel sexy, how you feel self-confidence, how you feel your beauty. And it's also the garment that's closest to your body. So you can feel it really intensely, and your underwear and your bra, you really feel it. And what I was hearing was that these women couldn't find good bras that fit them. And if they could, they looked like medicinal patient wear. And they wanted to wear the True & Co. and the Third Love and the Urban Outfitters, but it just was causing them too much pain to get on, whether it was over the head or the straps were in the back, and underwear was just a whole nother situation.
I mean, let's even just call it what it is. Who in the world thought that having the closure in the back of a bra is the right way to go? Yeah. I mean, that's just preposterous. Clearly it wasn't a woman.
Yes.
Who probably decided that. I mean, that with an able-bodied person is challenging to figure out. But, it's so interesting to me that, when we partnered with Tommy Hilfiger, when I partnered with them in 2016, it is so cool and amazing to think that here you were, in your I guess you were probably about 18, 19,
yes.
17, around then, that you thought of the same thing during the time that we were making change happen on a mainstream level. It is just so amazing to me that somebody of your young age also was doing your own investigating and your own surveying to, discover what we were, working on in a bigger way. But that assures me that you and your generation are going to make sure that adaptive is a category in the industry because you were already thinking about it before, or during the time that I was partnering with Tommy. I mean, it's the coolest thing.
Absolutely. It felt to me that I was a little student thinking about this idea with my friends and my mom. And then all of a sudden, Tommy Hilfiger came out of nowhere with this amazing line and others soon to follow. And it kind of felt like, okay, at least I'm not alone in this. And I know that this problem is really big and that it's not just my mom or the hundreds of women I've talked to, but it is really big and it is really important and people will care. And so that was really great timing just to keep me motivated and keep talking to women and building what would become my company intimately.
And so did you, what made you decide to start with intimate wear? Did you see that you felt that, because of what you just explained, that it really is the first step to getting dressed, and being that this was an industry that your mom was in, not necessarily from the garment perspective, but her career, right, in the studies of it. Did that kind of direct you to start with intimate wear?
Absolutely. I think there was a few key points. I was designing lingerie for women with just typical lingerie. It was probably for able-bodied women, around the same time doing a line for the fashion show at Brown and RISD. And so I was thinking about underwear, I was thinking about the impact, thinking about my mom and her career as a sex anthropologist. And then you're right, thinking about how every outfit starts with a bra and an underwear, and then you build from there. And also just the complexity of bras and underwear, like you were saying before, is just there's so many different key parts of it, and the idea of innovating in the bra world was really interesting to me because my background is in fashion and I loved this big challenge of trying to find the best way to create a new garment. And so that was probably the components that made my choice to move into intimates.
So you decide that that's the category that you want to start with, which I think is really important, that you really had a focus. And many other companies or brands that come to us and say, well, we want to get involved in adaptive, or designers that say they want to start a collection, sometimes they're just too broad, like that they're tackling it all. And I think starting, and picking a lane in the intimate apparel world, where really still there isn't a lot out there, was really a very smart way to begin, and a very important message also that is being told through the story, that women with disabilities want to feel sexy too. And they, starting with the intimate apparel is exactly the message that helps that come across. So when did you launch Intimately, and what made you decide to start online, to create a platform versus maybe designing your own collection? Talk to us a little bit about that decision.
Absolutely. So I was still a student, and I still am a student, and I knew that getting into the bra and underwear manufacturing was going to be complex and take a lot of my time. And in addition, I wasn't an expert. So I just started a blog, and I linked to my favorite small adaptive apparel bras and underwear. And I wrote little pieces about what it meant to create a shopping experience that was beautiful. I did a little photo shoot for, I think, $500, and just got some women with different abilities in this underwear and posted the images on my site. And did that for about a year, and just was learning a lot and reaching out to women at the same time I was conducting the interviews. And then it was going along nicely as a blog, and then I didn't really have any, I knew I wanted to create my own product line at some point because I saw the gaps in the market, and I also, that's my interest is in fashion. And but I didn't really know where I was going to go. And then someone at Forbes called me and just said, we're really interested in doing a story about adaptive apparel. Can we feature your company? And I thought to myself, I'm not even incorporated. I'm not even selling anything. It's not really a company. It's a blog. And so then I thought, well, if this big magazine sees some insight, maybe I can turn this into a company. And so I incorporated in August of 2019. And then I needed some funds to start my first line and to buy the inventory because I decided to partner with these companies, Slick Chicks, which makes underwear, Dear Kate's also makes underwear and Wings Intimates and Elbow Bra, and I wanted to have all the inventory with me so I can send it out to all my customers and really make sure every aspect of the experience was curated and easy to open boxes, just so thinking of everything for everybody. And so I did a Kickstarter and around the holidays, and I raised about $20,000. And then I launched in February and started my sales. And now I'm creating my own line with Elba, one of the companies that I sell, and we're making a beautiful bra that's going to come to market soon. And so it just kind of picked up with Forbes, and then Entrepreneur, and then Pop Sugar picked us up, and then Bust, and then Yahoo News. And so it just kind of kept rolling. And now I'm doing my first couple hires, and we're just focusing on creating a diverse team with women of lots of abilities. So we can all come together and just create a really good brand and keep making new products for our customers.
Amazing. Isn't it interesting how life took you into a direction that you probably never thought that you were going to go in? I mean, certainly I'm a case in point of that. I never imagined that I was, going to help lead a movement of adaptive, mainstream products. But that's where life took me. And I think that especially, the fact that you were open to going on the journey is so amazing and incredibly mature of you. I think that you were willing to kind of go with it and see where it took you. And clearly, if Forbes found you, as you said, they thought, this is a market opportunity. So as you started to, start your site, intimately.com, is it?
Intimately.co. So
okay, great. And we'll make sure to post the link because everybody really needs to go on there and see what's happening. We were fortunate enough to help find some models for you that have all different types of disabilities. So now in your own collection, are you focusing on modifications to the bra? Are you focusing on fabrics, the design of it? What's your avenue?
Yeah, so our main focus right now is creating a front opening bra with magnets. Mm-hmm. And so we already have that on the site with Elba, but really, so it's easy to get on in it. It's in the front, so it's the magnets and the straps allow anyone with limited hand dexterity to simply just sort of push the bra together, and then it will stay all day. And it helps with range of motion for shoulders. So that was our first priority for the bra. And then just taking it up a level in terms of sexiness and sultriness, to just kind of promote this confidence and that showing that all women can feel sexy no matter what their body functionality is. So we hope to go into other avenues of the bra, like creating a really sensory friendly bra that's easy to get on too. Mm-hmm. But for this first initial Intimately bra, we're focusing on magnets.
Amazing. And what has the feedback been just with the site in general? I'm sure there's been an outpouring of thank you for thinking of us, for including us. Women want to feel sexy no matter what their ability is. I'm sure you've gotten a lot of that type of feedback.
I get the best Instagram DMs all day, every day, from women all across the world, really, that just say, thank you, I'm so excited to purchase from you. And our community section, we also have a part where we post stories from women with all different disabilities about sex, love, dating, beauty, travel, lifestyle, everything, just to create a beautiful aggregate of stories that lift up voices and normalize the experience of being a woman with a disability. And so our community members really love that and love always getting ideas for pitched articles. And that's just really great to normalize sex and disability.
It's so amazing. I'm absolutely floored by you, and I was from our first call. I have to ask, what does Mom say? She must be bursting with pride of what you've created.
Yes, absolutely. She's it's inexplicable. She's very proud of me, and she's proud of all of this. And it's been difficult for her to see herself as a woman with a disability because it is invisible. And so we're both learning about disabilities as we go along together. And so that's been a really great piece too.
I love that. And I'm sure this is incredibly cathartic for her to, she's the muse for what you created. And, she's really a part of something so incredible, and certainly having you at the helm makes it even more special. So, wow, you are really amazing. But before we go, I'd like to ask all of my guests one final question. And this is something that I believe in wholeheartedly, and that's the notion of a vision board. Whether that is an actual physical vision board or something that you keep in your heart and your head of what you want to accomplish in this lifetime, or who you want to meet, or anything that is a hope, dream, wish that you have. So for you, what or who would be on your vision board?
Ooh, so I think that when I dream big and I think about where I want my company to go and where I want it to go after I leave or whatever happens, I just see a world where it's these women with disabilities don't have to thank me and thank the company for making it inclusive, because it's normal. And I like to think about how my little piece of intimately with the bras and underwear, and your piece of bringing all the mainstream clothing and shoes and everything together, that it just becomes really normal, and that no one has to say, oh, this is an Instagram account dedicated to women with disabilities. And it's on everyone's Instagram account, and all blogs and every news source writes about sex and disability or beauty hacks for women in wheelchairs. And it just becomes really normal. And that's what I try to encourage my team to really think big. And we like to do this thing where we talk about where we're going to be in 2055 and then how we can work backwards from there. And so I know 2055 seems like a long ways away, but it really isn't. And it would be amazing to have that kind of culture and fashion industry have that kind of landscape of inclusivity, and how we can get there. And so I think that's what I think about in terms of my vision board. And but it's hard to visualize that because that's not the reality of today. And so working every day to make a little step closer is a good part of what I do.
Yes, but look at how far you've come.
Yes.
In a very short amount of time. So I have no doubt that by 2055, I will still have red hair and still be hopefully dressing to the nines, but that you will make adaptive and everything that comes along with it just a part of our mainstream world. And it gives me, again, such joy and hope that your generation and you specifically are going to make this happen. So Emma, thank you so much for joining us and sharing your story. And again, everybody, it's intimately.co. We will post the link for you all to go see what this amazing young woman has created, and let's see where it goes. So bravo, Emma.
Thank you, Mindy, for having me.
My pleasure. If you would like to be on the Gamut Network, please email us at talent@gamutmanagement.com to tell us why you would be a great guest on the show. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel at the Gamut Network, as well as go to our social channels at Gamut Management. Thank you again so much, Emma.
Thank you.
Bye.